So let's take some of those skills that we've been practicing, finding intercepts, graphing lines, and let's read information off of a graph. So we're starting off with the graph and we want to interpret the graph. So look at what it says. It says that the graph below shows Sally's distance from home. Use the graph to answer the questions. So let's take a minute to look at this graph. So on the what we normally call the x-axis, what information are we keeping track of? Well, look at the label of the axis. This label says time in minutes. So our input variable x represents Sally's traveling time in minutes. And notice the scale of our axes, and we definitely have these each being 1 minute for each tick mark. And you can probably tell me a lot about the range of how long Sally was traveling, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, what's our output variable, or what's taking place of our y? The output variable is distance from home. So x was our input variable in our linear equations with two variables x and y. X represents the input variable, and then y, which is on this vertical axis, that will represent the output variable. And in this particular graph, that means that y is keeping track of Sally's distance from home in miles. You see that? Because it gives us the label. So Sally's distance from home in miles. Now it says identify the horizontal intercept, or the x-intercept, and interpret the meaning in this situation. So let's go look at the graph and let's see where the graph crosses the x-axis, or the horizontal axis. And it's right here, isn't it? There's what order pair would that be? That would be 22, 0. Okay, so what does that represent? What's the meaning of this order pair where the input variable is 22 and the output variable is 0? What does that mean? Well, now remember, the input variable was keeping track of time, and then the output variable was keeping track of distance from home, right? So the interpretation of this order pair is that after traveling 22 minutes, right? So that's our input, our time of 22 minutes. Sally is 0 miles from home. 0 miles from home means she's home, doesn't it? She's arrived home after 22 minutes. So that's what the x-intercept represents in this graph. Okay, let's look at the y-intercept, or the vertical intercept. And that's up here. And that order pair will be given by the x is 0 and the y value is 11. And again, x represents time, y represents distance from home, Sally's distance from home. So what's the significance of this order pair 0, 11? So it says at 0 minutes, Sally is 11 miles from home. She's 11 miles from home. So her trip home is going to take her 11 miles to get home, isn't it? So she starts from 11 miles away, doesn't she? At time t equals 0, Sally is 11 miles from home. Okay, so one more question here with our graph. Interpret the meaning of the order pair 6, 8. Right here, this order pair 6, 8. And again, remember, time and distance from home. So after 6 minutes, Sally is 8 miles from home. Sally is 8 miles from home. So do you get the idea of how these graphs are giving us some information about a situation? These linear equations and these graphs have some meaning depending on how we use them.